Fikes at the top right there. I'm a sophomore, not a sophomore, junior, ag science, and I'll be talking about fighting media bias today. So what is bias, or media bias? It would be the tendency of the media to kind of just like sway or be more subjective than objective when presenting information to the audiences. And media can count, I'm defining it as web, newspaper, and cable TV. So here's the overview of what we'll be going through. And so who can benefit from media bias? Sometimes it's corporations, sometimes it's political parties. You just have to ask yourself who can influence what's going on and what can they benefit. And over here we have a visual example. This symbol is for Al Jazeera, if you've heard of that network, and this is CNN. And what was actually going on was it's the same, they reported the same things on Al Jazeera and CNN just to see like how the American audience viewed it, or I should say North American audience. And there was more of a, so media bias also depends on how you view the world and what you see as an individual. So you could see the same information, but based on your perceptions, it can be completely different, just going off the labels. 4 common types of bias: word choice, omission, story framing, and spin. There are many other forms of it, but these are just the 4 I chose to look at. So when you're looking at word choice, they're kind of things like fear-mongering or using specific words to just give a different interpretation or a different perspective. Some questions to ask yourself would be, what is the fundamental message being given? And is there like an easier way to convey it? Omission, some questions to ask would be, what has been asked, what hasn't been asked? Is there a better way to go about this? And check the sources. If it's only coming from one area, then you might want to find out more. Story framing, and then spin. That's pretty much the difference between objectivity and subjectivity. So here's an example of, it came from an article. Sorry, I was just deciding if I wanted to ask somebody to actually volunteer to read it or if I should read it myself. So it says, 8 Israelis have been slain and dozens have been wounded in the last couple of weeks, while at least 28 Palestinians have been killed by Israelis. According to Israeli authorities, a dozen of the slain Palestinians were attackers. The rest died in clashes with Israeli forces. This is just an excerpt from a Washington Post article. And do you guys notice anything based on like what you already know about bias and what I've already said? Feel free to call out.
Use of the word slain.
What, like, image does it?
It's a very strong word. It makes it seem very, very inhumane and, a lot worse than maybe it probably was.
I would also point out, like, attackers. It almost seems to negate that some Palestinians were slain, like justifying their death. And then I feel like at least 28 Palestinians. Oops. Oh, it's touchscreen. That's cool. Sorry about that. So, it seems to highlight the Israeli deaths over the Palestinians, even though the Palestinians have died way more, and over the course of the conflict as well. But that's just an example. So, a couple of resources, fair.org. They say they're fair and unbiased media, but that's all up to you to decide. alternate. I personally like this one. And then there's watchblog.com, and this is based more on political parties, so it's looking at all the different stories in the news, and it's got a tally for conservative, independent, liberal, and it's just looking at how each of them view kind of like what's going on at the same time. So, again, there's always going to be bias, even no matter how. There's so many different ways for the bias, so I'm shutting up for words. But the point is, think critically, spot the bias where you can, and that'll help you be more informed. And it's always better to have more than one perspective on what's going on, just so you can be more informed and have a more holistic picture of current events and even past events. Oh yeah, and keep in mind who benefits from whatever message is being presented. Just a quick example, like the Democratic debates that were just on, CNN was reporting that Hillary Clinton had won, and then there were polls that were like online that were saying that Bernie Sanders had won. But after some further research, it showed that Time Warner cable company had been actually endorsing Hillary Clinton, so there was more of a push to present her in a positive light from the company as a whole. So there are a few references, and that's my presentation. Thank you.